All right, welcome back to Coach Convo, and we're meeting today with Coach Justin Cessante. Justin is the director of football for Legacy in Brighton, Michigan, and also the head football coach at Detroit Catholic Central. We're glad to have Justin on today. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, Coach. Great respect for you and what you do, and glad to be here.
So just start off, tell us a little bit about your background in athletics and in coaching.
Yeah, growing up, I played every sport, multi-sport athlete, at least tried to. Grew up in a single mother household in West Side Detroit, Dearborn Heights border. Went to Dearborn schools and ended up making a decision, one of the best decisions in my life for my circumstances, to go to Detroit Catholic Central. And a big part of what drove me there was striving for discipline, father figure. Put me in an environment where I thought I would really have to flourish. And I ran track there for 4 years, varsity, as well as played football. Moved up my sophomore year at the end of the year, but then 2-year starter and captain back-to-back state championship teams in Division I in the late 90s, 97, 98. After that, I took a scholarship to Tri-State, which was an NAIA school in Indiana. Played there, started as a true freshman half the year, and then ended up transferring to Grand Valley, and was fortunate enough to play for Brian Kelly and on a national championship team there in 2002. And then when I graduated in 2004 with a degree in marketing, I came back to Catholic Central, old CC in Redford, not the new CC. We didn't have a football field at Redford. We didn't have a track. We were in a middle school with mice in the lockers. It was very humbling. I always said you could smell the tradition at this school, literally. Weight room was busted up, but we had everything we needed to come out with rust and, old ways. Very old school, very what represented the type of style of football that we played and what I want to get back to playing. But I came back to Old Breakfast Drive to watch a practice, and Coach Matt came up to me in the way that he does and said, I need a JV coach, and I'll see you tomorrow, and walked away from me. So, it was I think Coach Mack and most great coaches like yourself, Coach, they see things in people and individuals that they may not necessarily see in themselves, or needs that they may have in their life at that time that you may not think you need, but the great ones realize you do. And he put me in a position to get back to football in a time I really needed it, really trying to find myself at that time. And, I was assistant coach there for 15 years, moved up to varsity, eventually defensive coordinator, before I took a hiatus because my mother-in-law got really sick. I was having a baby. The things we were doing at Legacy football and whatnot started to get really bearing on me. So after, playing and coaching since I was 8 years old, I took a hiatus about 5 years ago. And then, back at CC now as the head football coach. So that was the cliff notes. It's, there's some details I'm sure we'll get to, but it's kind of my journey.
So tell us, how you involved with Legacy football, and what does your day-to-day with them look like?
Yeah, so I actually founded Legacy football when it was at Hype Athletics. So when I was 19 years old in college, myself and two of my childhood friends started working on this organization. The founder, Ali Sayed, wanted to replace a basketball tournament, Gus Macker, that dropped out of our neighborhood because there was a shooting. And Gus Macker said, we're done with the violence here. A lot of busy part of the city there. And we came at, almost 20 years old, I would say, and put on a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. And it became a really big deal. We didn't have any violence. We were all athletes from the community. And it turned into summer camps, and then it turned into after school programs, and really a passion that we would come home for the summer, but Ali was working on all the time, and eventually won an $11 million grant to build a community center in our neighborhood. And so I actually started the football program on those basketball courts, back in about 2010, 2011, maybe a year after that, maybe 2011, 2012. But and really, there was a great need for development. There were some groups doing it, and I saw what they were doing, and I thought, hey, I have some ideas of my own, or I think there's some things we could do better. It's almost like politics. You get into politics to change the world, and sometimes politics changes you. I wanted to get into youth sports and this platform of development that was happening down south, to bring it to Michigan in a more rounded out ecosystem that not only on field development, but off the field development, leadership, education, recruiting, empowerment of parents. And so that is really where we come from, right? We were born at Hype, and then transitioned out to Legacy when they were building the beautiful campus and resource, and transitioned out there in about 2014-15. And so I was up to here in that, as I was coaching high school football as an assistant. Now I have taken the lesser of a role of really just, I consider it my baby. I consider everything that we do very important, that we do it the right way with integrity. We set a standard of obviously not lying to people, not driving people to our programming, not providing platforms that don't really have substance, and helping kids develop to get back to their football season. So that is my mission now. I'm kind of watching over everything, but I have some really great individuals who've been with us for a long time. Coach Lewis Adams has been with me since day one. Coach Cody Patton, I couldn't, you really, day-to-day operations and what he does for the organization is tremendous. And Jake Vincent, a newer guy, Brandon Smith, that coaches at West Bloomfield. Plus all these guys are high school coaches or coaches in some facet. So they've been very instrumental, and people that I trust with our brand, because it's important that we're doing things the right way. So.
Yeah, I've interacted with a couple of guys that do some things for Legacy, Zach Zimmerman and Dwayne Boone, that's on your staff at DCC, that have come through our Leadership Development Alliance through the Coaches Association. Very impressive young dudes and guys that really represent the game well and your program well. So
it's great.
How do you see what you do with Legacy interacting with your new role at DCC?
Well, it's a slippery slope, right? There's like almost like a conflict of interest. I think that we've had a relationship with the MHSA, meaning Legacy Football, because of our senior all-star game, that we're really providing a platform for under-recruited kids that have been on Bally's over the years. Unfortunately, we didn't have it this year because of the Penn State-Michigan State game, but hopefully to get back on track with that next year, how that threw off the state championship and our game being on Sunday. But I do my best to keep it completely separate. And I have to be very conscious of that. And I was very conscious of it when I got the job. There was a couple of options. Catholic Central, I did not have to take the job because I needed a job or needed to do it. I wanted to do it. I felt like it was my God's assignment to come back and get back to a place who helped develop me as a young man, and that it was time to do that. And that they needed that culture enhancement and change, and get back to some of that old school moral and principles that we've had that made us successful. And then you take this other side of off-season development where you're working with kids from across the state. I think where we're able to always keep our integrity is we have coaches, over 200 coaches that work within our programs a year, that are the majority high school coaches. So I never stand up there and wear my CC stuff and have side conversations with dads and kids and, man, you look really good. You look really good in some Shamrock Royal Blue. That goes on in this world that we live in. It goes on before it was ever even identified. And now that you sit in a position that I sit with, being the head coach of a very prestigious program, and then obviously a founder of Legacy Football and being the director, I have to keep those two worlds apart. And it's not hard for me. I was raised in a good Polish, Italian, Catholic family. My grandmother and mother brought me up on great morals and values. I sleep really well at night because everything we've done in this space, it's been done for the right reasons. It hasn't been done for money. It hasn't been done for clout. It hasn't been done to pull ourselves up off of a young kid's back and because who he is. And we've been consistent in that. And I think that that's why we've had partnerships with Bally's and partnerships with MHSA and partnerships with the Coaches Association and done things within those forums and platforms, is because we've always done things the right way. There's probably a lot of things you can say about us, but one thing isn't going to be is that we don't work hard, that we're not in it for the right reasons, and that we don't have integrity. And then, whatever else you say, I'm okay with. Those three things allow me to sleep at night. So no, to sit up here and say that it wasn't a concern, not only for CC, for legacy, for, contacts of the MHSA, like, how are you going to keep this separate? I'm not as visible as I used to be. I'm not at everything. I think that's a little bit by design, but also just because I have multiple things going on, and most importantly, my family with a third girl on the way. But it's also, I don't ever want to be perceived as, I'm trying to get kids or funnel kids to our high school, because we know that that's going on in other places, and I will never play that. I will never sell my soul. The purity of high school football is so important to me in community. Now, with that being said, we're a Catholic school, so we're going to draw kids. And, there's always been a perception that the Catholic League is heavily recruiting and doing that. I always used to make a joke. Well, I got a couple of DBs that run 4.9, so for recruiting, you should fire our recruiting director. But, we have some guys that run a little faster than that now. And, football development in the state of Michigan has changed. And, regardless if I agree with other groups and what they do, all of us has taken part in bringing some development that has now been recognized nationally. We have more kids in the NFL out of any city than anybody in the country, and so that has changed, and that has been going on in the South forever. Like, if you do more of something and rep more of something, it's where is the fine line of still promoting multi-sport athletes? Where's the fine line of not over promising something to a kid and creating a platform of false expectation? And that's always been our stance. Is I'm going to stand up and empower the parent by giving him the right information, which is not always popular.
For sure, people don't always want to hear the truth.
No, they usually go against it anyways. They're going to do what they. Yeah.
So. Right. So what's next for Justin?
I'm still very much involved in legacy and the Lead Foundation. I mean, the Lead Foundation is something that I'm very passionate about. Our Cleats for Kids, which we're hopefully bringing to Jackson this year, helping run some youth camps in the summer and giving resource to communities more than just football, but financial literacy, education. What we're doing up in Benton Harper with Joik Bell is tremendous. We do want to continue to move with a prep JUCO school, which we think there's a huge need for in the Midwest at Lead and Legacy. But my priority is Catholic Central. I have an alumni development job there. We've been blessed with donors and some things happening on campus that my career, God has guided me throughout my life to be prepared to help in building some new sports complex facility. And we just built a beautiful STEM building. And just get, as a young man, there's this book I read, Coach, called Halftime. I'm probably halfway through it, no pun intended, but it talks about your first 30 years or 40 years. It doesn't really matter on the time, but you go through a phase of life that you're chasing something, right? You're chasing to get money, or to build a career, or to get respect, or get a house, or buy a car, or start a family. And then you go into this next phase, is like, what is your legacy going to be left as? Like, what is God's assignment for me? And I think, a couple of years ago, I really started praying different. I stopped asking God for things and just asked him to guide me to what he wants me to do. And it's put me in the positions I am in my life. So I just want to continue to follow my faith, be a great husband, be a great father, and impact these young men. I talk about this all the time. I don't care if it sounds corny to people. Like, football is bigger than banners and trophies. Not that we don't want them and we don't want to win. But we're trying to give this an equation for success, right? We're trying to give something that these young men can reference, and discipline and hard work and overachieving in their life. And no matter what they're going through when they become fathers and husbands, and they're pursuing their career, that they can reference and say, you know what, I have this in me. I've learned these important tools. I've learned these important principles through Catholic Central, through football, through Legacy, through Lead Foundation, whatever we're involved in, that we're promoting the same message, right? There's no easy way. Everybody has their own journey, and it's faith, it's family, it's academics, it's football. It's in that order. And for me, it's just what's next for me, Coach. I guess the short of it is keeping those in line. Keeping those in line and not selling my soul. I don't care if NIL comes to the state of Michigan. I don't care how much resource we have. I don't care how bad people want to win. It's just doing things the right way that allow me to sleep well at night and allow me to have an alignment with my relationship with God.
Good stuff. Good stuff. You mentioned it, and I did want to touch on where are you at with the prep school JUCO concept?
Yeah, so we had a partnership with Madonna. They had changed over presidents. Obviously, with me taking the CC job, I had to get some things off my plate, which I'm still offboarding daily responsibilities. I've been part of Legacy for 10 years, so it's not like you can just do this overnight. And I thank the leadership at Catholic Central for understanding that and being flexible. But we've came a really long way with it, and I think what we're going to do is more of a hybrid JUCO prep. So you'll have some guys that are traditionally prep students, which mean they don't have issues with grades or discipline or anything of that nature. But the reality of it is even the JUCO player is looking a lot different and nowadays, right? Because of the transfer portal and because of recruiting has affected high school student athletes. So, we're able to bring in JUCO and preps and playing under the same umbrella. Unfortunately, that JUCO prep world is like the Wild West. So it's like, if you have the facilities we have, if you have the structure we have, and we're able to keep our moral integrity in line, you're going to really just beat the competition off of that. And again, there's just not a lot going on in the Midwest anymore, how it was, as you remember, GRCC and Julie 10, 20, 50, 15 years ago. We have a great opportunity to provide something that a lot of kids need. Do they need film? They need education? Do they need to save a year of eligibility? Did they get hurt? Was this still a COVID hangover type of situation? So we're on the verge of hiring a new AD, and that will allow me to get out of the weeds and have somebody working on it day in and day out to build this thing up.
Cool. It's something that's really needed in the Midwest and in Michigan in particular. Because there's a lot of kids that are missing out on opportunities to play at the next level and just to go to school at the next level. I think that's really good stuff. So thanks a lot. I appreciate your time this morning talking with us, and good luck at BCC.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Coach. Thanks for having me on. God bless. Happy New Year.